Assalam, assalam, assalam. Love, Abraham, Islam, AL-SUFIAN. As we begin our holy and divine deliverance of elevating the language of English to unity. Now we can have the answers that we all been waiting for. The great prophet of the lineage of Abraham was saved by the great God, Allah. And Jesus was not crucified, but saved by God, Allah. We have the divine revelation of the understanding that Satan died on the cross on the Sabbath. That's who died on the cross. There was no God dying on no cross, for God has no body. So how could God be crucified if God has no body? And God is nobody. So the master trickster, the Jewish Satan, died on the cross on the Sabbath. There's no more evil since then. The only evil that is what you know of as humanity is what you have allowed. So as long as the offsprings of the devil, his children who are demons, can trick humanity, how these spirits can trick humanity. For remember, he said, for I will not bow down. This is the Jew. For I will not bow down For you made humanity out of clay, and you made me out of spirit. So we must understand that there's significance here. And it comes with understanding the cross, who died on the cross, and from that happening, evil never existed again. It's only humanity who is allowing evil. And it's allowed by whoever rejects not evil. If you are one who rejects evil, evil can no longer spread. So is the soup. AL-SUFIAN teaches us the knowledge, understanding, and wisdom of Allah. To convert self into trickery, evil wants to convert self away from God. So evil has done a mimicry of truth, imitating it. And this is why you think God died on the cross. Detach that from your mind and free and liberate yourself by turning to great God, Allah. So as you see, the belief that Jesus was not crucified is primarily held in AL-SUFIAN Islam. What has been hidden is that the Jews have been altering the truth. So Jews, known as Romans, began to tell a lie. And this is how the birth to the beginning of Christianity began. The beginning of the lie was the birth of Christianity So this is the first lie that was told by Christianity, known as the first church, the early fathers of the church, the patristic patriarchs. The foundation of Christianity began in Rome. So you know clear who the Roman nation is, the Judean nation, the Persian nation, the Caucasian nation, the albino nation founded the first church, of whom crucified. Jesus of Nazareth. This is where you get the birth from Jesus, from the original Morab, the Moorish name of the great prophet of the line of Abraham. The Jewish nation, this is why the Jews don't accept the Messiah. So this is the understanding of the first lie. In their book of the New Testament, it says their father from the beginning was a liar and have no truth within him. This is why we got to go over the biggest lie from the beginning, the first lie. So they changed the Moorish name Jesus to Jesus, Jesus, to represent the Jewish narrative. And the Jewish narrative was going down in Jerusalem. So we know Rome and Jews came together to form Jerusalem, the place for the Jews to worship their Satan. So this is how Satan became to die on the cross. So by rewriting their own Jewish narrative, they changed the name of the great prophet and renamed the great prophet Jesus. And this is how the first lie begins. And now the crucifixion is the crucifixion story is the greatest fiction of Jewish lie ever carved out in the beginnings and endings of time, to deceive the whole world, to make believe a character to play God, where God comes in human flesh and dies on the cross, when that is an insult. That is an insult of a narrative to our divine creator, who does not willingly makes error. So this error is of those who err, those who come from the land of So now when we are understanding the first lie, which imported the beginning of Christianity, which gave life to a fiction called the Jewish nation, who have changed their names many times because they have committed themselves by swearing to heaven to destroy all light, where truth would become scarce, that you will find a drop of water in the desert before you have any writings of the divine prophets left for you as the guidelines to truth. This reality has been overted and have been coverted by the Jewish people. So this is how Satan died on the cross. Seeking to redeem his people, talking about Jesus or of moral. In those days, from the pressure of the pale skinned Jewish nation, who loved to cloak themselves as Christians tied with Islam, known as Muslim. This is how it used to be before all of Constantine. After Constantine is when Christianity hitched itself unto Judaism. To keep its authority, to keep its powers for rulers and its religious authorities. This is the advent of Constantine and the coming of councils to advent the coming of the concept of the doctrine of the Trinity. To now create and establish the trifecta of lie, the perfected lie, using the sacred number 3. So the Jews made up the crucifixion story so they can become a famous or a chosen people, so they can go viral, in other words. So Rome crucified In the Jewish narrative, Rome crucified Jesus, quotation hands, according to their Jewish Roman law. See how they work together? Jewish and Caesar works together. They are one family line that have merged, as they say, in the 4th century. Headway by Paul, who introduced a bounding lie as himself called soul. And this is why his name is Saul, but it's soul. And then it goes to Paul, which is pole. But Paul is not and will never be greater than AL-SUFIAN, al-Mu'id. In Jewish writings, you know him as Muhammad. But Muhammad is not his Moorish name, just like Jesus is not his Moorish name, his holy name. Muhammad is not his holy name. That is narratives of Jewish origin who are the first fathers of the lie, of the first lie. So why is the first lie important? To pull all humanity away from the first God, who created all things in creation, and especially towards humanity, the cosmic behavior. So there's been a long tooth and nail fight for the Jewish to corrupt a people's wisdom called the Moorish. Hence why you have Jesus is the king of the Jewish. So anything belonging to the Jews is Jewish. Eternal love, wisdom, and gentleness belongs to the Moorish. Anything Moorish is Morab. Morab is the name they want you to never know of. These are your forefathers' descent name that Jewish families and offsprings wish to eliminate entirely from history and all his stories. So all praises be to Allah. Then Europe had peace for a long time until AL-SUFIAN the first came upon the scene and fulfilled the works of ESUS of He be ruled. The Jesus of Nazareth is a Jewish narrative, just like Jesus being crucified is a Jewish Roman narrative called Judeo-Christianity. The first lie. So AL-SUFIAN Mu'id brought the holy teaching of Jesus to all of humanity, to all of the angels and spirits. to redeem them from under the great pressure of the hands of the unjust, the rulers and the rich, the Jews, the Jewish. So these things have been converted into narratives that you have no longer have the origin to. So in AL-SUFIAN Islam, Jesus was not crucified, but rather saved by God. We do not follow the Roman Jewish narrative. And know that these people that are Jewish people, these are sea people. These are the sea peoples. And now they like to go up like birds. So they the bird people. So we have to understand all of this connection to why they wanted to wipe out the history of the more raw Bob. See, so those who submit their will to God, Allah, are called Al-SUFIAN, Al-Musa Alim. This is what they don't want you to know. So they have you with the crucifixion story, juicing you up with all the fiction of someone who did not claim themselves to be the Son of God, but the Jewish narrative put the words in his mouth in their false text that he was the Son of God. Hence confusion. Them confused. So now we have a clean and pure text to recount, restore, and reinstate all back to life, including your most evil, wicked spirit, all the way to your highest in jail and in jails. So another mystery that needs to be discovered is that the cherubim and the seraphim. The seraphim are the angels, and the cherubim are the jinns. The jinn. While that divine revelation is coming. So as we understanding the symbol now that represents your self being conquered is the cross of Christianity. This is when they crossed over out of Islam and crossed over into Jahannam. So this is when Christians crossed over from Al-Jannah, and they crossed over to Jahannam, the Algians, by refusing to not honor the one creator. So this logos was made by Jews. This is the first lie. The lie of the double tongue. Their commitment into dualism called Judaism forever, cloaking itself in a syncretic religious-based ideal system where they can put God viruses into the mind of believers through their filthy language and misinterpretations. The crucifixion. The cross is the crucifixion. Fiction. That is a painting from Jewish and Romans These go together in the crossover. You know, cross as in when you betray. So those who betray the one creator will have their own books. And these books will give them the right to disobey the creator, the divine creator. So from this misinterpretation, the name of God has been called Jesus Christ by Christians. And this falls under the first lie. The first God does not have the name Jesus Christ. The first don't come from the second. The first don't come from two things. There is what is called divine natural order. So law and order is what is called first and second. The first God is the first God. And so since they didn't have the first God, they created a two God. And so this two God became a false God by the false name. So thus, Christians who worship Jesus Christ as a God are in error. This is against the teachings of our law. So Christians who worship Jesus Christ as a God are in error. For Jesus Christ is a Roman Jewish name. And how can something that came from something be first? So when we don't know the first, this is how we come into second error. An error is a deviation from the first, which is called truth. And this deviation or error is made. Not that the creator created this. This error is a human error that is made by the human skin of the Jewish and Roman. They made a deviation from the first through ignorance, which created the second mistake. This is an offense against justice, fairness, divinity. This is a divine crime. Error is transgression. So they lie. They, being Jews, are liars. So the first liar is a Jew. So when our kin folks told us that the devil is a liar, that was true. Now we can say that the devil is a liar and the devil is a Jew. Jews made a deviation from truth, made through ignorance a mistake, an error, offending divine justice, transgression of divine crime, committing wrongdoing and sin. So people who are in error are in sin. Sin is ignorance. Ignorance is the second mistake. Ignorance is the flaw. Judaism also created Gnosticism, Judaism also created syncretism. Anything of a Jewish thought is a mistake, a flaw, a defect of good. And all that comes from Jewish speech is heresy and hearsay. He say, she say, Jewish bull, SHIT. Jews are a wanderer, a wandering. Jews go astray. Jews are those who are going astray. Jews are meanderers. Jews are doubters. Jews are believers in nothing. Jews are a figurative people of going astray. Love to follow error, love to make mistakes, love to wander and use their sorcery and magic wands. They love to make believe. They love to make what is false. They love he say, she say, falsehood. They love false opinion. They love unbelief. They love deviation. They love destroying true value. Anything of lasting value, the Jews, by their nature, is Jewish. Satan is a Jew. And a lie is Jewish. The devil is a lie. And the devil is a Jew. So those who worship Jesus Christ as a God are in Jewish bull, SHIT. For they know, and now you know, this is against the teachings of our law. So this is why you have the crucifixion story. This is why you have the fiction of the crucifixion. Not that God died on the cross, but the devil did. God did not die on no cross. The devil did. Who is the devil? The devil is a Jew. Who died on the cross? Judas. For his father was a Jew. So this is what is called Judaism. Those who follow the line of Judah. who is the father of Jacob, Yaqub, who is the father of Isaac, sickness, the second lie, the second son, Isaac. All these are cover narratives spreaded by Jews. See, the AL-SUFIAN teaches us that they will spread their false narrative. Let not those who wish to control by fear, this is sin, this is ignorance, this is error, this is hatred. Let not those who wish to do that spread their false narrative. See why? Oh, you who believe. See, we true believers, that we the new creation of the new believers, of true believers. And this believer means the believer in truth, the true believer. So, oh, you who believe, listen then to the truth of your heart. We don't need a book anymore. We don't need no news reporter anymore. We don't need no sports analyst. We don't need no entertainer entertaining us. We don't need no politician telling us. We don't need a man or a woman to tell us that which is wicked, nor that is true. For we as AL-SUFIAN listen to the truth of our heart, and we let the heart be our guide as to the narrative. Peace and love, huh? See, because these false narratives have what? Created false scriptures. The Jews have imported false scriptures. Case in point, the founders of the false religion, Mithra. Who founded Mithra? The rulers under Darius that created the false scriptures of Mithra. So who did that? The founders of the false religion of Judaism. Why? In worshiping the Roman emperor, the Roman Caesar as Lucifer. What is Caesar's? Return to Caesar's. And what is God? Give to Allah. The Jews also are the founders of the false scripture, the unholy Septuagint. The Jews also are the founders of the false religion of Manes. This is where you get your many gods and your Manasseh of Paul and the wicked corruptions of the Talmud. So all these texts is what you can find in public domain in public buildings made by these people who are in and have their own societies. So all of their books and false texts called false scriptures are in their society. Their society is short for city. See, it is only the society that teaches us to follow a dark path. See, it's the dark city that teaches you to follow the dark path. The Jewish city. How you know if it's a Jewish city? They don't have the AL-SUFIAN. Any seeker of truth would know by the guidance of their heart that the Bible, from beginning to end, is not the book of God and is not the one book. For those who read the Quran from beginning to end, if you have a heart that is guiding you, you will know that that is not the book of God or the one book. So you will have to keep seeking until God delivers the divine revelation. Because you have to prove yourself through your own good works, through your own virtuous life, which the Jews cannot do. The Jews cannot live virtuous. The Jews cannot deliver right knowledge, which is self-knowledge, which is divine knowledge, which is the knowledge of Allah. So in short, AL-SUFIAN, Allah, is what the lineage of Abraham is known as. The Muslims that follow the Quran and more of the hadiths are not of the lineage of the more raw. They are of the lineage of a Jewish background. Jewish are Aryans. Morabs are Moorish. So now you understand your latest holy prophet when they say you are of Moorish descent, not of Jewish descent. What do Jews call their God? YHWH, meaning Jew. The Jew way. This is what they call their God, Jew way. Jew. So that's what's known as the crucifixion and the cross. Satan, Judas, the Jew, died on the cross on the Sabbath. This is very important. When I say on the Sabbath, this is divine revelation. Out of our one book, our holy book, delivered by AL-SUFIAN himself, teaches us that the Jews claim the divine creator has abandoned the earth, and the Jews submit to the demon called Sabbath. So Judas, the Jew, died on the cross on the Sabbath. As-salam, as-salam, as-salam. Holy and divine, divine revelation. Allah, Sufa, as-salam, Abba.